At Eldridge Park, I'm Amanda Irvine as the Firebirds host the Yarmouth Dennis Red Sox in a decisive Game 3 of the Eastern Division Championship. Tune in to the Bird Buzz for more analysis. Here at Eldridge Park, I'm Amanda Irvine for the Eastern Division Championship Series. I'm joined with broadcaster Nate Gatter. Nate, obviously, last night, a crushing 13-inning defeat at YD. What does the Firebirds' mentality need to be coming into this game?
I think it's a short memory, and that's been true for a lot of the season. That's true always in baseball. It's one of those constants that you've got the game tomorrow, and so for all players, you have to be able to have that short memory, especially when you lose, and just move on. And I think these guys have been really, really good at that. They've only lost 2 games in a row one time the entire regular season. It hasn't happened so far in the postseason, and I remember a conversation I had with Trace Barrera where he basically said their mentality going into Game 3 against Chatham was, well, of course we're going to win because we don't lose 2 games in a row. And it might sound a little bit cocky, but you want to play the game with a certain level of arrogance, with a certain level of overconfidence sometimes, because it can compensate for your own mental insecurities and for your own deficiencies. And to play your best, you have to believe that you are that good, and you can never be better than what you believe that you are. So I think the Firebirds have a lot of confidence, and they've already done this once. They've already dropped a Game 2 on the road and come back to win in dominating fashion at home. I wouldn't expect their mentality to be any different than it was in Game 3 of the East Division semifinal series.
Just as you mentioned, there was another Game 3 in the Eastern Division semis here. The Firebirds got out to a hot start in that game. Bobby Delbeck's home run in the first inning. How important is getting on the board early again?
It's less important than it was against Chatham because you're not seeing a team with the same level of bullpen, especially after YD completely used Ben Bowden last night. And if Chad Hawken from Cal State Fullerton were to pitch tonight, it would probably only be an inning, maybe 2, 20, 30 pitches at the absolute most, because he threw a couple of really good innings last night. And he's a terrific reliever, but after that, they don't have a whole lot of dynamite stuff in the bullpen. And on the other side, instead of starting maybe a less experienced starter, you've got Mitchell Jordan now. Your lineup is turning over. Your pitching rotation is turning over again. And so Mitchell Jordan, your ace all season, his 0.21 record-tying ERA is out there on the mound. And so it takes some pressure off your offense. I still think the Firebirds are a team that rely a lot on a fast start and run from there. They're not really built, at least mentally, to come from behind. But I also wouldn't expect them to fall too far behind. Even if they don't score any runs for the first 5 or 6 innings, it's pretty likely YD is going to be struggling on the other side against Jordan.
As you mentioned, Mitchell Jordan, the team's ace all season, getting the start. What do you think we'll see from him tonight?
You're going to see the same thing you always see, and that's what Kelly Engelson is hoping. That's what the Firebirds are hoping, and I think that's a realistic expectation because he comes in and night out and gives you his best stuff every time because it's very repeatable. He doesn't rely on an overpowering fastball. He doesn't rely on a nasty off-speed pitch. He has 3 very good pitches, none of them spectacular, but all of them well above average. Plus fastball, he's going to run it in there 90 to 92 early in the game, maybe drop into the high 80s, but he hides the ball really well. Again, something that's totally repeatable. It doesn't rely on his elbow being in the perfect shape. It's just the mechanics of his windup that give him that advantage. Slider, changeup, I'd expect him to work all 3 pitches, and then usually in the 3rd, 4th, 5th inning, you see him go a little bit more to whichever off-speed pitch is working better for him and mix it in with the fastball. He's really, really difficult to hit, and the fact that he's able to repeat so well is what you love about putting him out in a Game 3 like this. The kid is laid back, and he will be ready to go 100% in the right situation mentally going into tonight.
All right, so last question once again, Nate. Another Game 3 here at home at Eldridge. What's the biggest key for a Firebirds victory?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I think the biggest key is the bullpen tonight. I think that there's a good chance this game remains close. I wouldn't expect Orleans to run away with it quite the same way they did against Chatham. Certainly, I wouldn't think it's going to be more than 3 or 4 run lead when Mitchell Jordan leaves the ball game. I'd expect it probably to be a 2-1, 3-1 type of situation after 6, maybe 7 innings, and you wouldn't expect Mitchell Jordan to go more than 7 innings at the absolute most. We haven't seen an Orleans starter finish the 7th inning yet, even in the postseason. Eder Arribas had the longest one at 6 2/3. So I would be really surprised to see the bullpen not have to take over in the 8th and 9th. And you've got a guy out there, Kyle Serrano, who's got experience coming out of the bullpen at school but not closing, and he hadn't come out of the bullpen much all summer. He's looked good so far in 2 appearances in the 9th inning, but that's a different animal when you're looking to close out a close Game 3 and send your team to the Cape League Championship Series. So I think the spotlight is on them because I'd expect Mitchell Jordan to turn it over to his bullpen with the lead. The question is whether they can hold it.
All right, thanks for the analysis. For Nate Gatter, I'm Amanda Irvine as the Firebirds take on the Yarmouth Dennis Red Sox in the decisive Game 3 of the Eastern Division Championship.